Chapter 41 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, the lament of Mandodari. Apadamahartaram dataram sarvasampadam lokaviramam Shriramam bhuyo bhuyo namamyam. Mandodari, the queen of Ravana, the mother of Indrajit, came to the battlefield. She stood for a moment looking at the dear face of her lord and dropped by his side. Her sorrow was burning her, and she spoke in a pained voice. She said, "How could this have happened, my lord? No one has even dared to stand in front of you when you are angry. Indra trembled when he heard your name mentioned, and all of them, including the rishis in the heavens, were in awe of you. And I am told that Rama, a mere man, has been able to kill you. How could it have happened? Your eyes should be spitting fire, and your lips should be throbbing with fury, and your fingers should even now be reaching for an arrow from your quiver to kill your opponent. Instead, you are lying still, and anger has no place on your face. This silence does not befit you, my lord. I am not able to believe this. It is not possible for a man to kill my lord. This Rama is not a man. He is someone divine. The fact that single-handed he destroyed Kara, Dushana and Trisharas with that immense army of 14,000 should have made us realize that he is not an ordinary human being. We should have taken the warning. When Hanuman entered the city, which is inaccessible even to the god of wind, we should have been sensible enough to take the warning. When I heard that a bridge had been built across the sea by the monkeys at the command of Rama, I knew that he was no ordinary human being. Perhaps it is Lord Mahadeva who created Maya in the shape of Sita and himself has assumed the guise of a man called Rama for this sole purpose of killing you, destroying you. I know who Rama is. He is the Lord of Lords, Narayana, the greatest of yogis, the Paramatman, the ancient, the one truth which has no beginning and no end nor any middle. He is the eternal. He is the greatest of the great. He is beyond the darkness called avidya, ignorance. He is the creator of the universe. With the conch and the chakra and the gada in his hands, this great Lord has the mole on his chest, Srivatsa by name. He is ever accompanied by Shri, Lakshmi. He is eternal, and he is never a victim of changes. He is the Lord of all the three worlds. He is Lord Narayana himself, and I have no doubt about it. For the purpose of doing good to the world of men and devas, he has assumed the guise of man, and these Vanaras are all gods who have come down to the earth in the shape of Vanaras. My lord, Narayana has killed you and not a man. Once upon a time, my lord, you performed tapas with all your senses under perfect control, and now, strangely enough, it was these very senses which have proved to be your undoing. Because your wealth, kingdom and all your subjects had to be destroyed, you desired Sita. She is a great Pativrata who is like Arundhati. She should have been honored by you, and instead she has been insulted by you. You should have honored her, and instead you asked her for her love. It is because of her tears of grief that you have been killed. A Pativrata's tears should not be allowed to fall on the ground. There is nothing but truth in the saying that a sinner will certainly reap the reward for his sinful actions. At the proper time, fate will make certain that it happens. We were so many of us in your Antapura, and yet your mind was set on making Sita respond to your wishes. In birth, I am as high-born as Sita. In beauty, she is no way superior to me, and yet, because of the blindness of lust, you could not look into the future. Death comes in some form or other, and for you, death came in the shape of Sita. You brought death with your own blessed hands when you brought Sita to Lanka. Sita will now be reunited with Rama and will live happily from today. Unfortunate woman that I am, fate has plunged me into a sea of misery. My Lord, my dear beloved, how can I live without you? Your handsome face has lost all its glory. Your eyes, which were like the sun and moon, are closed now, and I cannot see the look of love which you ever had for me. Where has it gone, my Lord? Your beautiful smile. Your face is now covered with the dust from the field, and your eyes are closed. I cannot bear this. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamastu. Chapter 41, Part 2 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, The Lament of Mandodari. Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunataya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Mandodari's sorrow was burning her, and she spoke in a pained voice. Mandodari continued, I was a very proud woman. I was certain that nothing would harm my lord. My father is the king of the Danavas. My husband is the great Ravana, and my son is Indrajit, the hero who had humbled Indra, the lord of the heavens. I was so secure in the thought of all the three of you, and how could I anticipate this calamity which robbed me of my son and lord? Your magnificent chest and your entire body is covered with arrows fully. I am not able to embrace you even. Is it true, or is it a dreadful nightmare which will vanish when one wakes up from sleep? Oh, no, it is true enough. Yama was always afraid of you. How could he have had the courage to approach you and trap you in his noose? My death was heralded when my child Indrajit was killed, and I stayed alive for the sake of you. And now that you have gone, what is left for me? Evidently, you did not love me enough, or else how could you have had the heart to leave me and go away? I have offended you perhaps, and to punish me, you have abandoned me. This is the curse of the many good women who have lost their husbands because of you. In olden days, you killed so many good men, and their wives shed tears of blood. They say that the tears shed by a pativrata will avenge the death of her husband. When I think back on it, this act of yours, stealing Sita, was unbecoming to you. You lured Rama away and then stole Sita. It was unnatural that you should have done that. You have never done such a thing before. This cowardly act is unworthy of your bravery, and it is really not at all in keeping with your courage. You were not defeated in the war by Rama. It was your own sinfulness which killed you. How can you lie like this on the field while all the enemies and the devas too are looking on in triumph? You have fallen in love with the earth, and you relish her embrace and not mine any more. Mandodari fainted and lay by the side of Ravana. The other women revived her and comforted her. Rama said, Vibhishana, make these women go back to their Anthapura and proceed about the funeral rites for your brother. With great difficulty, the women were coaxed to leave the dead form of Ravana, and amidst great wailings, Mandodari and the others left the field of battle, and they had to realize that they would never look on his face again, and their hearts were broken. They had no more tears to shed, and their voices were hoarse with pain, and so they went back to the Anthapura of Ravana. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Panamast. Chapter 42 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, the funeral rites. Apadamahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamya. Vibhishana now said, Ravana was an adharmi, a killer, a liar, a lustful person who cast his eyes on the wives of other men. I have no respect for him and I do not feel like doing tarpana for him or offering anjali for him. An elder brother should command respect and worship from his brother. But Ravana was my enemy and I do not consider him worthy of respect and honor. People in the days to come will censure me as heartless. But when they come to know of the evil which my brother practiced, they will think well of me. Rama said, You helped me to win this war and I wish to impress upon you that it is your duty which I am asking you to execute. Thinking on the past does not help. This king was, no doubt, an adharmi, and yet he was valiant and a great fighter. He made the world cry with fear and earned the name Ravana. He had been powerful, and we have heard often that the Devas and all the celestials were not able to defeat him in war. Remember, Vibhishana, hatred lasts only as long as life lasts. Our purpose has been fulfilled, and it is so with me, and it should be so with you. Perform the funeral rites for your brother. You know the rules of dharma and you must realize that you are the person who should help him reach the world of the mains, the Pitris. Vibhishana hurried to obey Rama's commands and soon his men were busy preparing the funeral fire. The final rites for the Rakshasa monarch, Ravana, were being executed properly. Vibhishana placed his brother's body on the fire and touched the earthly remains of the great hero with fire which had been kindled according to the rules of the sacred texts. He paid homage to the departed soul with sesamum and water, and the rites were ended. Vibhishana bathed in cold water, and with wet clothes he mixed sesamum seeds and green blades of grass with water and offered the anjali for the departed soul. He prostrated facing the south, and he then comforted the women who were still there again and again, and finally coaxed them to go back to the Antapura. After sending them away, Vibhishana came and stood before Rama with his palms folded. All the heroes were with Rama. Hanuman, Lakshmana, Sugriva, Angada and others. The sky, which had been filled with the celestials, was slowly emptying itself. They were talking about the valor of Rama, the killing of Ravana, the prowess of the Vanaras, the sagacity of the Vanara king Sugriva, the devotion of Hanuman and Lakshmana, and their great and individual heroism. Rama prostrated before the chariot of Indra, and after worshipping it duly, he bade affectionate farewell to Mathali and sent him back to the heavens. Rama's joy knew no bounds and he embraced Sugriva. He then went to the midst of his army and spoke to Lakshmana. He said, Child, this Vibhishana is devoted to me. He has proved it to us in 1,000 ways. He has aided us and his help has been invaluable and it has been responsible for our victory. Take him to the city and crown him as the emperor. This will give me great relief. Lakshmana was very happy to do what he had been asked to do. He took up a vessel made of gold and he asked the brave Vanaras to fill it up with the waters from the sea. Water was soon brought. Lakshmana took Vibhishana into the city, placed him on the throne and drenched him with the waters, and he gave him his coronation bath. The holy mantras were recited and Vibhishana was crowned king in the midst of the Rakshasas. His 4 comrades, who had left Lanka along with him on that memorable day when he Vibhishana abandoned his everything and surrendered to Rama, were exceedingly happy to see their master crowned king. They had been faithful servants of his. After the coronation, Vibhishana hurried to the presence of Rama. The citizens honored him with flowers and fried rice. Vibhishana reached the presence of Rama, who was seated surrounded by his friends. Vibhishana offered auspicious gifts to Rama, and to please him, Rama accepted the offerings. Jai Shri Ram! Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulya Rama Nama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 43 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda. Rama sends Hanuman to Sita. Apadamahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Rama turned to Hanuman and said, Honor Vibhishana, who is now Lord of Lanka. Take his permission and enter the city. Go to the Ashokavana where Sita has been kept captive and tell her that I am well, that Sugriva and Lakshmana are with me and that they are well. Tell Sita that Ravana has been killed by me. Give her this message and come back to me with her words. Hanuman did as he was told. He entered the Ashokavana. She was seated under the tree as she was the first time he saw her. She was surrounded by the Rakshasis and there was nothing but sorrow and despair writ on her face. Forlorn as the star Rohini, which had been parted from the moon, Sita was a picture of woe. Hanuman went to her and stood by her side with his palms folded. For a moment, she did not respond to his arrival. She then recognized him and, with a ray of joy illumining her face, she welcomed him. Hanuman spoke softly and gently and gave her the news about the happenings on the field of battle. He said, Devi, Rama is well with Lakshmana, with Sugriva, Vibhishana and his army. He has destroyed the enemies and he has achieved the purpose of his coming to Lanka. He has been aided by his army and by Vibhishana in this, and Ravana has been killed by your lord. Rama asked me to carry these glad tidings to you, and he has sent this message to you. Sita, I am speaking what will be pleasing to you. I share my joy with you. Fortunately for me, you are alive and rejoice with me over the death of our enemy and my victory. Sita, you can now shed your grief and peace will be yours. Ravana is dead and Lanka has been captured. I was bent on but one thought, your rescue, and I spent sleepless nights thinking of you. I built a bridge across the sea with this end in view, and now your dark days are over. Vibhishana has been made the king of Lanka. It is now the house of your brother where you are living, and so you can be without pain. Soon he will come to you and bring you to me. Sita was full of joy, so much so she could not speak. Hanuman said, Why? What is bothering you, Devi? Why have you become silent? Sita said, It is joy, Hanuman, joy at the thought of the success of my Lord, which has made me tongue-tied. I do not know how to reward you, who has brought this good news to me. Nothing is good enough for you. Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Rama Nama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 43, Part 2 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda. Rama sends Hanuman to Sita. Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunataya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namaha. Hanuman stood still, as was his custom, with his palms folded, and said to Sita, "Your noble words befit you, and they are full of affection. The mastery of the three worlds are heaps and heaps of golden gems, will not be equal to the affectionate feelings you have for me. I have seen you happy, and I have seen Rama victorious, and there is nothing I desire more than these. I feel that I have conquered the three worlds." Sita said, "Hanuman, there is no one who can speak as beautifully as you do. Your words are well chosen, and they are sweet, and they are full of wisdom. Your devotion to Dharma is praiseworthy. Strength, prowess, valor, innate goodness, bravery, divine strength of mind and body, perseverance, firmness under all circumstances, control of the senses, and many other great qualities have found a home in you." Hanuman was humility personified, and he was embarrassed by the words of Sita. He now said, "Devi, I seek your permission to do something. These Rakshasis have been harassing you for the last so many months. I have seen how much you were oppressed by them. Let me have the pleasure of killing every one of them. I want to vent my spleen on them. My hands are itching to punish them." Sita smiled softly and said, "They were servants, Hanuman. They have to obey their master, and they have no right to have feelings of their own. It is not fair to judge them. I have been doomed to spend a few months of my lifetime in captivity, and that was because of some sin committed by me in some previous birth, and because of my misfortune. After all, one must reap the fruits of one's actions. I have always believed in fate. What has to be born is at the behest of fate, and none can escape the sway of fate. I have no anger against these unfortunate servants of Ravana. Now that he is dead, they will not ill-treat me. There is an ancient tale, and the moral of the story, if I remember right, is a good man will not harm even the person who has tried to harm him. The only path to be followed is the path of the good, and good conduct is the only ornament worth wearing. Hanuman, compassion and mercy should be shown to everyone, whether they are sinners, good people, or those who deserve to be killed. No one is infallible, and erring is human. To my mind, even the Rakshasas who enjoy killing, who do nothing but evil, should be allowed to live." Hanuman stood humbly before her and said, "Devi, I stand corrected. You are a worthy spouse of the greatest of men. Please let me go to him and convey to him the glad tidings that you are happy." Sita's voice was full of eagerness as she said, "Tell Rama I am eager to see him." Hanuman replied, "Devi, Rama will soon be seen with you, and you will both seem like Indra and Sachi Devi." Hanuman left the queen of Rama and hurried to his presence. Jai Shri Hanuman, Jai Shri Sita Mate, Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattvalyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast. Chapter 44 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, Rama and Sita. Shri Ramaya Ramabhadraya Ramachandraya Vedase Raghunathaya Nathaya Sitaya Pataye Namah. Hanuman came to the presence of Rama, and he told him about his seeing Sita, and he conveyed to Rama her desire to see Rama. Rama's eyes were filling with tears when he heard the narration of Hanuman. After that, he was sunk in thought for a long time. He sighed and his eyes were trained on the ground. He then turned to Vibhishana and said, "Go to Sita. Ask her to dress herself in good clothes. Let her have a holy bath and let her wear her jewels and then come to me." Vibhishana went to Sita accompanied by his women and told her that the palanquin was ready to take her, and he conveyed Rama's instructions to her. Sita said, "I want to see Rama as I am now. I want to be taken there in this state." Vibhishana said, "My lord Rama has commanded me to bring you to him dressed in silks and gold. I have always obeyed him, and if I act contrary to his wishes, he will not be pleased with me." To Sita, Rama was the god she worshipped, and she said, "As he pleases." Vibhishana's women washed her hair and combed out her tangled locks. They made her wear silken garments, and now ornaments adorned her. Conducted by the Rakshasa women and by Vibhishana, Sita entered the palanquin which was meant for her. Vibhishana came to Rama, and he was sunk in thought. Vibhishana prostrated before Rama, and with a glad note he told Rama that Sita had been brought. Rama's eyes were downcast. Rama's mind was filled with mixed feelings. There was gladness, compassion, and at the same time anger. A frown sat on his noble brow, and he said, "Vibhishana, my dear friend and well-wisher, bring Sita to me." There was great excitement in the Vanara army and that of the Rakshasas also. Vibhishana asked them all to make way, and royal attendants with sticks in their hands were trying to keep back the crowd which was eager to see Sita, for whose sake the war had been fought. The crowd was pushed back, and the noise made by them was like the roar of the sea. Rama looked up from his reverie and saw what was happening. He spoke to Vibhishana in a voice which had affection as well as anger. He said, "Why are they being treated so harshly by you? These are my people, and they should be treated well. Stop this chuck imposed on them at once. These are all my people, my kinsmen almost. A woman has as her protection her chastity, and not houses and curtains nor high walls. She does not need this royal treatment. It is no sin if they look at her. Under certain circumstances, a woman of the royal household can be seen by ordinary citizens. That is when there is danger, when she is in trouble, when there is a war, when it is a swayamvara. During the performance of a yajna or during her wedding, Sita has arrived on the battlefield and she is in trouble. And again, she will be by my side, and it is not wrong if she is seen by anyone. Vibhishana, let the people stay where they wish, and you must bring Sita to me. Let her see me surrounded by those who helped me win this war." Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Sita Mate. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattvalyam Rama Nama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Panamastu. Chapter 44, Part 2 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, Rama and Sita, Part 2. Apada Mahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Vibhishana went to the palanquin and made Sita descend from it. He led her with great deference to Rama. Lakshmana was looking on with puzzlement at Rama. He knew that Rama was not his usual self, and his preoccupation was noticed by Sugriva and Hanuman. They were unhappy since they could guess that there was some displeasure in the mind of Rama. This was evident from his tone to Vibhishana. They guessed that he was displeased with Sita. His comments on the appearance of Sita in public led them to this conclusion. Sita, her limbs shrinking into herself with shyness, walked hesitantly with Vibhishana and came near Rama. She covered her face with her upper cloth and in a faint voice called out, "My lord." Tears choked her voice and she could speak no more. Sita, whose very life was Rama, stood by and she looked at the dear face of her lord. There was immense affection in her eyes, and there was happiness and a feeling of amazement that this happiness had finally come her way. Her sorrow was at an end, and her eyes were drinking in the beauty of Rama with thirsty eyes which had long been aching for a sight of him. Rama spoke. His voice was harsh and his words were cruel. He sounded angry and he looked at the gentle wife, his loving Sita, who stood before him and said, "Devi, you have been rescued from the enemy. I killed him and rescued you. This was done to vindicate my honor and my reputation. It was my duty to fight the enemy and kill him, and I did so. I have reached the utmost limit of fury, and his offense against me has been punished in a proper manner. My insult and my enemy have both been wiped out together. My valor has been displayed to the world, and my efforts have been rewarded. When there is a danger to his reputation, a man of honor should make every effort to wipe it out. Hanuman's achievement in leaping across the sea and his burning the city of Lanka were great tasks well executed. Vibhishana left his brother and came to me with a heart full of love, and his attempts have not been in vain." Jai Shri Ram. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulya Rama Nama Varanane. Om Shri Ramarpanamast. Chapter 44, Part 3 of Ramayana's Yuddhakhanda, Rama and Sita. Apadamahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokaviramam Shriramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham. Sita was listening to this long recital and she wondered why Rama's voice was lacking in warmth. She was looking like a frightened deer and her eyes were filled with tears. Rama looked at her and his anger grew, like fire which is fed on ghee poured into an oblation. His frown was dreadful and his eyes were strangely devoid of the affection meant for her and only her. Rama said, "Sita, as I said before, unable to bear the insult offered by the enemy Ravana, I took up the task of killing him and I have done so. You have been rescued from him. Sita, I wish to impress on you one truth. This war, this killing of Ravana was undertaken by me because I am an upholder of Dharma and because I could not brook the insult to me and to the ancient house of the Ikshvakus. I did not do all this for your sake. Your name has now a stain on it and it hurts me to look at you even as a bright light hurts the eyes of man with a pain in his eyes. You are at liberty to take leave of me and go where you will. There is nothing I owe you now that my task has been completed. Which honorable man will, with love, take home with him his wife who has been living in the house of his enemy for several months? I belong to a noble house, a very noble house, and it does not befit me to take you with me. You have been sought after by the sinful Ravana and his lecherous eyes. I have won fame by my actions and by my rescue of you. I am indifferent towards you. You can go away from here wherever you wish. I have explained to you my thoughts and my decision. If you so desire, you can go with Lakshmana or Bharata. You can choose the company of Sugriva, the king of the Vanaras, or Vibhishana, the Rakshasa king." Rama turned his angry eyes on her once and turned away. He spoke nothing after that. Sita had never before heard such words from Rama, and trembling like a creeper caught in the wind, she stood silent with tears streaming from her eyes. In the midst of that large crowd of Vanaras, bears, and Rakshasas, Sita stood and her heart was breaking with the words of Rama. Her head was bowed. She had shrunk into herself and hurt by the sharp words of Rama. She bent her eyes on the ground. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Sita Mate. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattvalyam Ramanama Varanane. Om Shri Ramar Pranamast.